I have a few questions to get the conversation started, but I'd like you to ask some questions too. So if you go to sly.do or slydo.com and type in the numbers 3423, then you can ask questions. My only request is you ask it in English so that I can ask them. If you ask it in Polish, it's fine. I'll just have them read it.
So first disclaimer at the beginning, I'm not any longer CTO. I've been CTO till last year. Right now, I'm having a completely different role, so this is the mistake.
Oops, my bad.
No problem.
My apologies on that. Thank you for making that correction.
I'm still discovering.
You're still a discovery. Fantastic. I'm going to start with you, Maciej. So again, slido.com, so we can get some of your questions as well. I'm going to start with you, just because it's something that I think is relatable for most people. Most people are looking at a TV screen. A lot of people watching Game of Thrones. There were a lot of suggestions coming in whenever you watch a show. There's a lot going on behind the scenes that us naive consumers don't see. Is the screen just a screen? And how does that relate with IoT and big data?
Well, it's a good question, because the screen is no longer just a screen, or it is a screen, but the device behind it allows us as a content producer, not a TV, but a content producer, allows us to really first of all, recommend the proper content to you, because we have, for the first time in history, we have the back channel, so we know who is watching what. So, and it is, you have to abandon a little bit anonymity with it, but then once you're logging, or we recognize you, and you allowed us to do so under the GDPR, we can recommend you the great content you like, and we know that your friends like. That's probably the most obvious and the easiest implementation of a big data and AI in our industry, and everybody's benefiting on it. That's one point. But to add a bit bitter taste to it, we've been chatting backstage about the recommendation bubble. So maybe I'll come back to it later, but we have to be aware and to get the viewers, users out of recommendation bubble. So.
Otherwise, you will not be able to watch anything else than Game of Thrones.
Right, exactly.
Kind of videos.
Yeah. So you mentioned GDPR, right?
Yeah.
And at least I'm glad, because I know my own company's based in Europe, in Ireland. We had to accommodate GDPR. I was in Silicon Valley, and they're still talking about how to figure out privacy and data, the government's role in it and not in it and all of that. But I also know that you guys were having a chat around how energy intersects with connected devices and all of that. So there was a fantastic conversation backstage that I wish I could be a part of, but maybe you can recreate some of how the intersections are between your industries.
So we discuss mostly, for example, the case when you are approaching some website. Let's assume that this is the TVN website or one of the energy distributor website. And Maciej shared with me tremendous, very interesting information from the report, how many people click decline for a cookie, decline for using the service according to for sharing the private data with the website. And as I could remember, most of the people still clicks I accept, because once you will not accept, you will not be able to consume the service.
Precisely.
So this is always still some kind of trade-off, what I can consume and how I am paying for it. And of course, I'm still paying with my privacy data to some extent, of course. But from other hand side, if I want to be in this, for example, recommendation bubble, or be able to get the best potential offer for me, still I need to share something about myself. Otherwise, I will never get there.
Well, one disclaimer. The usage of a service is never conditional to your acceptance.
Right.
Well, and it's not. But the people treat, at least in our environment, the people treat those disclaimers, that pops on your screen as an annoying distraction rather than the real information on what's behind. But I would say, bold statement is, forget the privacy in the world of IoT.
Yeah.
Because the IoT, the simple, everybody loves the example of a fridge, that the fridge that knows what is inside and fridge that can order the milk once I'm running off.
Right.
So the fridge knows who you are, because in order to order, to shop for you, it has all of your data, including the payment, including the the source of financing, including the address. So IoT has nothing to do with privacy.
And more than that, it probably can build a profile about who you are based on what you're eating. It probably can pre-diagnose health issues that you might have. I mean, we've heard about the stories, right, where a father finds out that their daughter's pregnant because of a connected device that has properly calculated that the daughter's pregnant, and the father was not even aware of this. So we're talking privacy, not just addresses and payments, but literally your entire life.
But the privacy is not only about am I giving to somebody else my data, but rather for knowing and understanding how those data are being processed.
Yes.
Because sometimes in this example which was mentioned with this fridge and ordering the goods for the fridge, the case is, okay, somebody needs to know where my fridge is. Mm-hmm. However, I would like to know, is my data shared further outside the organization of some company who are feeding my fridge at the end? And that's the most important part, to have a very transparent system.
Yes.
Who is owning the data, who is processing the data, and where the data, and enable user to revoke the permission which was granted to process the data.
I'm glad you brought that up, because here's a question. Because the impact crowd is usually a mix of people in small businesses, medium-sized businesses, people who are part of the new tech and innovation, representing their businesses. I'm sure people are thinking about how do we interact with IoT, and you've brought up an ethical issue to some extent. What are some of the ethical challenges that you think people should be considering when they engage in this space? So you mentioned about the difference about who's owning the data, where is it being shared, if it's being shared, the rights of the user. So what are some of the ethical issues to be considered?
I think that it's also the scope of data which is required from us. For example, not all the services which I am acquiring on the web doesn't need my gender, doesn't need my religion. So I would rather see what they can ask me for and why. I would think to myself or ask myself the question, why they are asking me for more than they do need. Mm-hmm. And I would like to hear from some service provider, no matter is it coming from the, let's say, old kind of businesses or the modern one, why they need it. Mm-hmm. Why they need it.
Well, I think it's pretty good regulated by GDPR.
Yes,
so
that's true.
GDPR is actually addressing all those issues. So I'm not aware of, I'm not afraid that we're going to go into the wrong direction having the GDPR in place. It is a hurdle for business, so we have a lot of things to comply with the new regulations. Right. But at the end, it is it is helping the users to understand where the privacy borders are, and make your decisions. But the truth is, and again, forget the privacy once you're using a mobile phone. It's probably everybody here heard about the big international transportation app that I will not mention, that is predicting the probability that you are drunk while ordering a ride, mm-hmm. because based on your behavior while clicking. So there's no privacy once we are connected. It's only in our hands to control what type of a data we want to reveal.
But isn't that kind of giving up? You're saying, given that you have a phone, you have no privacy, so you might as well click accept to every cookie and answer every question. And from you, I'm hearing that you're saying, users, be aware. Like, don't give more information. You're saying you're giving it anyway, so it doesn't matter. And you're saying, actually, you don't have to use that service if they're asking too much. Yeah,
so this is the one, the one area. The second one is the understanding why the service is asking such questions. Because sometimes, if there is completely anonymized statistics purposes, mm-hmm. It's okay. I do not have a problem to be 1 bit or a couple of bits in the sea of big data, as long as my data is treated from just some statistical decision, not to target my particular behavior. Because then we are going into the, from other hand side, fascinating space. Because once we will come to the conclusion that we will have sooner or later 5G enabled device and 5G network available with all those slicing capabilities there, it will come to the point that we will observe a lot of completely new business model which will appear on the market. Let's assume that, for example, telco operator, thanks to 5G network, will be able to offer us for the new household, for example, the interconnection between multiple devices without investing into Wi-Fi connectivity.
Right.
It's fascinating. It opens completely different doors from telco operators, also some energy operators, and hackers maybe as well. So security, which you just touched, should be implemented by design, which means it should be a part of design process within product, within application, and within the service or even business model. Then we will be able at least to be ensured that we've done everything we could at the particular point of time to be secured.
Sure. But I'll come back to the recommendation bubble, okay?
Yes.
If you don't mind, because it is about clicking this cookies and about the privacy. So the companies, the media companies these days, they try to learn as much as we can about the viewers, users, subscribers, in order to serve the best content, to produce the best content, and serve the best and personalized ads. But I think that in the hands of IT people, for us, Discovery here in Krakow, there is a lot to do that those recommendations will reach the next level of the next stage, because the current recommendations and in current world, if we're gonna give up all the programming efforts to AI, we're gonna be stuck in a recommendations bubble. So there's gonna be a moment once you will forget the discovery, because you're watching and you're being served every time the same thing.
Same kind of thing, right?
So it is the true challenge. And there is also a very simple e-commerce example that once you travel to Krakow, you're going to be given the Krakow hotel and pubs ads for the next month, although you're already back home and you're going to be back here in a year or something. So this is a job to be done, and I think that this is a huge chance for media producers and for programming people, that people still need discovery. And I'm not talking about the great brand I represent, but discovery as a word.
So. Totally understand.
But it
Quick comment, yeah?
But this the story again opens the new business opportunity for the vendors who can potentially bring some additional data which they are harvesting. Because once we are talking about just the media and entertainment company, we are dealing with some particular amount of data set which is closed at the end. If we will assume that we all are thinking about how to commercialize the data which we are storing, for example, energy operator, telco operators, if you could potentially expand your model with the behavioral patterns which are gathered by the different sectors, those algorithms can become better and better. Of course, from one hand side, somebody will say, oh, we will feed the beast, or we will create the beast. But from other hand side, I am looking at that from the technology side, and I would rather say, what a brilliant opportunities to make our world better.
Absolutely.
And our life easier.
Pause it for a second, just in case there are questions, if we can get that on, because we've got 4 minutes left in this, and I'm glad you moved into the opportunities, because that's where I want to go in the conversation. But if there's a question, if we can stick it on the screen so I can take it. But yes, let's talk, we chat a little bit about the challenges. Let's talk about the opportunities. What does the future look like? What can we get excited about in this space?
Well, you're gonna wake up in the morning, you're gonna tell your TV set that what you want to watch, without looking for a remote, and we're going to serve it exactly to your TV set. And that's, or you're going to read, or you want to read the news, we're going to serve it too. And it's going to be, regardless of the screen you're using, it will follow you.
Okay.
So this is the model we are looking for, and I think this is a great opportunity. Of course, we will have to alert the energy companies that the consumption will grow with the new great premiere of a show, but the content following you, and it's the future.
I will go one step further even, because I can assume that at the same time, why I would like to have to watch the news or movie, which will be recommended for me or something like that, I would expand that also with the statement that I would like to have the meeting scheduled with Maciej in the place which will be most suitable for us all, in the time which will be most suitable for us all, within the business style or casual style kind of dress, in concurrent to the restaurant which will be suggested by AI and automatically approved by both calendars without even exchanging single word directly between us.
Great.
So this is the also next generation of all those home-related devices.
Absolutely.
With
and
voice
it
interface.
is almost already here because the people in London are working on it in my company, that the content will be suited for your daytime and mood.
Yeah.
So that's
predictability. We need to take this question because we're running out of time, and I think it's a great question. It says, should users have access to collected data and be able to share it with other companies like smart metering where energy operators collects the data? So the data that is being collected, should users have access to it and be able to share with others? I need a really quick response from both of you.
Definitely yes. We just need to keep in mind that some basic services require the basic data to be served. And once smart metering will appear widely implemented across the Europe, yes, definitely yes. And I know that users will have access to their data.
It's regulated.
It's regulated.
And it's fair. And from an ethical point of view, you have to have access to the data about you. That's
exactly.
It.
Final question, one-word answer. Everyone's vying to figure out what is going to be the ultimate device that will connect all the other devices. What is the platform or the screen that you will be able to schedule your meeting or be able to have the perfect discoverability? In your opinion, is it going to be a necklace? Is it going to be a ring? Is it going to be a watch? Is it going to be a laptop, a phone? What is going to be the ultimate device that connects everything else?
Well, it is a phone today. I think that there's going to be an ultimate interface, and it's going to be the voice interface. So
the voice interface.
Yes, I will share the same vision. Voice interface operated maybe currently by our phone, but in the future, there will be a lot of devices, maybe some sensors, which will recognize us, and everywhere we will be able to access the same data, the same quality of service, the same television program which we like, no matter where we are, without even having single-owned device.
Amazing. I want to thank these two fantastic gentlemen. If you see them outside, feel free to chat with them about IoT, connected devices, big data, what they're doing in their fantastic companies. Please join me in thanking Maciej and Piotr.
Thank you.
Thank you. It's a pleasure.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.